This is TWiT.
Let's first of all talk about this Supreme Court case because it's an interesting case. It is actually about radicalization. Specifically, it is a suit against YouTube. Am I right? Which is why Google's brief is, important. The issue is Gonzalez versus Google LLC, brought by the Gonzalez family, who let me see if I can find the facts of the case so I can. She was.
It's in the brief.
Is it in the brief? Okay, good. I'll go to the brief. She was one of the victims of that horrific Paris shooting, right? Let me open this brief up here so we can talk about it. Oh, it's many pages. Many pages.
It's only 68, but there's got a handy table of contents.
So her family is suing.
No, actually, it's not. It's not in there.
Yeah. Petitioners contend that YouTube violated the Anti-Terrorism Act by displaying ISIS videos to users watching similar videos. In other words, recommending those videos to those users and thereby radicalizing them, causing them to become terrorists, causing this mass killing.
Before that, they were perfectly normal, but go ahead.
Well, it was in Paris. So here's the issue. Here's what I would propose. I don't think Section 230 should, in fact, protect algorithmic recommendations. I want you to make the case for that, Jeff. I think Section 230 should protect me and Google against those videos on Google. But if Google says, or Twitter or Facebook or even TWiT, if we start recommending radicalizing content, that is not, I don't believe that should be protected.
But where does the algorithm come from? They don't just appear on their own, right? Who's responsible for the algorithm?
Google.
Well, let me try to answer your question. I'm going to start not with 230, but with the First Amendment. And this is a piece that I wrote in a British publication a week ago, that choice is speech. You choose who to have on this show. An editor decides, Stacey's leaving. She's in for a waffle time. It's the great thing about the Zoom thing. We can now see this. So I'll spend a minute.
We have a gentleman's rule not to mention.
I know we don't, but I think it's fun.
Okay.
Because she knows when Jeff gets going, I got 4 minutes. I can do it. So choice is itself speech, right? An editor, a publisher, a platform. Leo's leaving.
Jeff, I can hear you when I leave.
I know.
I want you to know that.
I know that. I thought it was funny.
I forgot to get my water.
Water, huh?
And if you were going to explain how the First Amendment relates to Section 230, I knew I had plenty of time.
You're out of here. Yeah. The point is, speech includes choice, and the choice of what you choose to carry is protected by the First Amendment in this country, and should be protected by the Supreme Court. Forget 230. When you get to 230 and say, well, they shouldn't be protected from this, well, against what? To be sued for carrying it? Okay, but it's not is it illegal speech? Then are they prosecuted? What do we say about that? But 230 protects them from the liability of others' actions. And I think it's absolutely vital because the point is, at scale, algorithms are going to be necessary to give us what we want in recommending content.
Okay,
and not just
that's
the bad,
what you're saying is because we're just trying, people are trying to give their customers what they want, be it Twitter, Google, or what have you, and they're going about it from a level of code. The code should be protected, and the people writing that code should be protected. The algorithm should be protected.
I think so, yes.
I think you're wrong there. I think your argument is basically like we have to trust this because it's the only way we can get content out to people at scale. So I don't think, but
the New York Times now uses an algorithm to recommend content.
Here's my the reason I don't. I
is that different
understand
from
what
the
you're
rest of the
saying.
homepage?
I understand what you're saying, and you're right. Choice is a First Amendment right, but I don't want to lose 230 protection because we went to the wall to protect the algorithm.
Well, that's a political question.
Well,
that's not a principled question.
Okay, but ultimately,
That's you're negotiating already.
Well, we need to
Ultimately, it is
negotiate
policy.
because we're going to lose it. There's a strong risk of losing it, and I'll tell you what. So I'm not protecting somebody's algorithm if that means I can't have a chat room, I can't have comments, I can't have a forum, I can't have a Mastodon, because none of that is any longer protected by 230.
But it's not just the algorithm, right? I finally figured out a way to put this recently. Is you have the left is when you have Wyden and 230 said we're going to create a sword and a shield, a shield so that you're not liable for others' actions, a sword so that you are free to moderate and have a better discussion to get rid of junk. And we're going to give you both. Well, the left is going after the shield because they say, well, you shouldn't be protected. You should be going after this bad stuff. You should get rid of bad stuff. The right is going after the sword saying, how dare you take down our bad stuff? That's our stuff. And we're going to require you in Texas and Florida to keep it up. And so it's part of that larger discussion. So I see what you're saying, Leo. Okay, let's negotiate this. But there's no negotiation with where this discussion is headed. That's the problem.
But I've always said these algorithms are a bad idea.
No, I disagree.
I think they're a bad idea. I think there's a difference in editorial judgment, as in the New York Times picking what's on its front page. There's a very different thing from that, and something like what Meta, Facebook, Google, World of Warcraft do to generate more revenue by promoting extremist content. Because
you know what? I miss an algorithm.
And you know what, Jeff?
Mastodon.
You talked about the New York Times algorithm being like recommending stories to you. Mm-hmm. That's less offensive because the New York Times has an editor that puts up all of their stories. So if I'm saying from this existing curated list, I'm recommending from
so only New York Times writers get protected, but we schmucks out here in social media and blogging don't.
That's what I'm saying with
You're
the
not
algorithm.
the ISIS videos are not protected, first of all.
Yeah.
In fact, one of Google's points is, we took care of that a long time ago. The ISIS videos are not protected.
There's no proof that the people involved saw those videos.
Yeah.
None.
So maybe on the actual facts of this case, there isn't a case. But I don't want to go to the wall defending the right of these massive tech companies to use algorithms to encourage revenue growth through engagement.
So let me try
when the algorithms tend to point you in directions, and Twitter does this too, where it's you're more outraged. You complained about what you're seeing.
Okay. So let me.
The reason you're seeing
let me answer you.
Let me finish. The reason you're seeing Lauren Boebert on Twitter is because Twitter has decided.
Elon Musk said so.
Well, no, because I believe the algorithm says, look, you know what? See how excited and upset this gets Jeff? See how much more he tweets? See how many more hours he spends on Twitter?
That's purely political.
We need to do this.
Purely political. I'm not seeing Bernie Sanders.
Well, I would submit that Elon's right to promote Lauren Boebert to you is protected speech. The algorithm's right to promote Lauren Boebert to you
Let me give you a different scenario.
Money is not protected speech.
Okay, let's take economics out of this for a moment, if we may.
We can't because that's why they do it.
Wait. Let's go to Mastodon. Now, on Mastodon, I miss an algorithm because there's stuff overnight that I miss that I wish I could see. I want an algorithm that says, hey, Jeff, here's the good stuff you missed. And I'm seeing some examples of this people are working on out there. The algorithm, an algorithm for algorithm's sake, is not evil. An algorithm can be done badly in the case of the Lauren Boebert, and I guarantee you that's purely political, not economic. But whatever. But an algorithm, if we demonize algorithms, if we demonize math, if we demonize knowledge, that's going to be a bigger problem here. And I can see in an ActivityPub world where there may be 5 or 6 algorithms that I will choose to have because they find stuff that I care about and they're not economically motivated. And I can choose them and they're optional and they're transparent and I know what I'm getting. My point is algorithms aren't evil.
Well, I think
maybe what you're saying is advertising is evil. Well, that's a different problem.
The fact that Jeff Jarvis is too lazy to scroll back through his feed is a lousy reason for us to defend algorithms on any platform.
Oh, no.
Algorithms I have no problem with the algorithms. My problem is the algorithms are being forced. I should be able to just go through chronological.
I'll submit to you the real problem with algorithms is what they're optimizing for. So if an algorithm is merely optimizing to surface the stuff that you would have been interested in overnight, that's benign. But if the algorithm, and I submit this is what it's being optimized for, is to generate more engagement and
but you've just demonized algorithms as a whole.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's a business
I'm not
decision.
demonizing algorithms as a whole. The problem is we can't impute what the intent is of an algorithm, but I can guarantee you that that's what happens. They don't algorithmize your tweets that you see overnight because, I think Jeff would be interested in this. There's nobody doing that. They're saying
Musk. I like the algorithm. I chose the algorithm over the con.
Understand how it works from a computer programmer's point of view. It's far too hard to write that algorithm. But here's an easy algorithm to write. How much time did Jeff spend on the platform yesterday? All right, let's tweak it. Did he spend more time? Yeah, let's tweak it. Did he spend more time? And that's how it does. Because no programmer is going to write in, this person's interested in A, B, and C, so we should give him more dog pictures. He likes those.
So let me tell you.
That's not how it works. It's much easier, and this is how every single algo works on every single social platform, including TikTok, including World of Warcraft, including Google, Facebook. Trust me, I understand how it's coded. It's directly tied to engagement.
I'm going to give you a good algorithm right now. If you go to @Colarusso_algo @law.builders on Mastodon, this is an algorithm that goes through this guy's feed.
Yeah, but no business is implementing that because that's not what a business is in business
nothing wrong with an algorithm.
It's all about profit.
Well, profits. The New York Times makes a profit too. Profit's not evil, you communists.
No, it's not evil.
I absolutely am not going to the wall to defend Google or Facebook or Twitter's right to keep us engaged by keeping us outraged. In order to protect Section 230. That is not going to happen. And
I think you've thrown the baby out with the Constitution. You've just gone over the line, Mike.
Mr. Jarvis, it would be fine if the algorithm wasn't just spitting out. Again, I started the show saying I'm not really on Twitter or any social media much nowadays unless I'm just broadcasting because what's being presented to me is a bunch of depressing and angry stuff. I don't
know how you get that because it's not happening with me, my friend. And so I'm not sure what's happening.
I hate that. Normally I pop it open and I just see my community of people. But now what I'm seeing is my community of people are angry because they've been fed something and it's just a vicious cycle of so many depressing stories and so many upset stories.
You also don't like the news, right? You said the same thing about news.
Yeah, I'd say, right.
Yeah.
And I could say the exact same thing about local news because if I turn on local news, it's pretty much the same way.
Yeah, and just because the algorithm may be working for you, Jeff, doesn't mean it works for everybody.
I'm not saying it does, but it also means it doesn't not work for everybody. And so if you want to eliminate the algorithm for me too, you've taken away a tool that I find useful.
Yeah, they've taken away, but that's like arguing like don't take away something that benefits me even if it harms others. That's silly.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is give me a choice. Platforms.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Give me the choice. Let me just do the chronological old school way of going back and seeing what people posted that I actually give a care about versus just suggesting things to me because everybody else is talking about it. Give me a choice.
Jonathan Zittrain at Harvard argued, I was in the room when he argued it to Facebook at, Davos, when I used to get invited. Where he said, you know what you should do? You should give everybody a dial. And if they want to choose the Disney algo that's all cleaned up, or they want to choose the Alex Jones algo, make that the responsibility of the user. And then you're going to get in less trouble, by the way, because the users, they chose it. It wasn't forced on them.
Well, but users are choosing it on an engagement. I mean, that's kind of what Leo's dial is, or Leo's.
Well, and that's their right. They want to watch Alex Jones. Let them watch Alex Jones. I think he's awful.
It's a choice, yeah.
But
no one's saying they can't watch Alex Jones or even ISIS videos. But what I'm saying is it shouldn't be promoting those completely. It doesn't. By the way, you need to understand how computers and algorithms work, Jeff, before you start defending algorithms. The algorithms.
You also need to read some research on this that says that this is not what's happening at YouTube.
Well, I'm just saying it's a lot harder to write an algorithm and almost failing. Look at the recommendation engines, by the way, how poorly they do. Those do not work. What works really well is a feedback loop between your time spent, the amount of engagement, the amount of tweeting, the amount of tweets you read, and the content. And it doesn't care about what the content is. It just says, well, when we serve him this, he spends more time here, so we should give him more of that. That's an easy algo to write. That's how TikTok works. That's how every algorithm I've ever seen on social works.
I like my TikTok feed,
The problem
too.
is, if you look at the Netflix recommendations, they suck. You know why? They don't have that feedback loop. They're trying to recommend something based on, your interests. That doesn't work.
Well, it's
that's
also
why
a lot of
none of that
sucky
stuff
Netflix
works.
programming, but that's another story.
Well,
it's all depressing.
I can tell you
think
exactly
those two
how all the
recommendation
algorithms
engines-
on social networks work. It has nothing to do with goodness or
But I'm
light.
saying
It has
you're
everything
setting
to
a
do with
precedent
engagement.
here. In wanting the Supreme Court to say algo evil, you're setting a precedent that affects so much more.
No.
And so I'm not willing to die on that hill. You are, I'm not.
I don't.
You're going
wanna
to take a
say
cold
I'll go
shower? I'm not
evil.
going to.
I don't want to say I'll go evil. I do want to say allow me to step away from it if I want.
And I
to.
agree with that. I agree with that. Absolutely.
And the recommendation stuff,
Totally smart.
that is a whole different ball of wax, like you said, Mr. Laporte. I think that takes more effort on the consumer side of things because, YouTube used to be pretty bad for me. Netflix was pretty bad, but the effort that I did with hitting those stupid thumbs up, thumbs down, and all of that on the things that I watch, it did tend to make a difference after a while. So now the stuff that I get, it's useful. But everybody's not going to do that because most people have a life. I don't.
You're gaming the algorithm, and you can game the algorithm, but you can only game it temporarily. They know perfectly well eventually you're going to give up and just watch what we tell you to watch.
Yeah. They'll throw that number one. What is it? This says number
just
one
because
in the
big
US
tech doesn't
right now,
does
even
it,
though I
or-
don't want to watch it.
Just because
it
big tech
shows
does it or doesn't do it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I think that is a mistake. I'm not going to buy into that. But they don't have an interest in promoting the social wheel. They have an interest in making money. And that is the capitalist way. And I don't think that has anything to do with free speech or protected speech or Section 230.
But, what about every book publisher? What about your company right here? What about every newspaper? What about every magazine? What about every TV network? They all make money.
Do you think they should have no liability for the social consequences of their algorithmic choices?
I think
Because that's what Section 230 does. It takes away all
230
liability.
is wise. It doesn't take away all liability. If you have libel,
Well, it takes away
point is,
liability
it
for
gives
those choices.
for those things that are done by others outside on the platform. And without that, as there's a great quote in the Google brief, which I have up on the rundown, we would end up with nothing but billboards. We'll end up with nothing but absolute pap and crap if this goes away, because no one's going to take the liability of making choices. All they're going to do
I completely
is
agree
sell
with
ads.
you. That's why we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Screw Google, screw Twitter, screw TikTok and their creepy algorithms. Let's protect my chat room, my Mastodon, where it's not algorithmic, but I need to be protected so that I am not liable for things people post there. That is absolutely necessity. I agree with you. It would be the end of the internet if Section 230 went away. Your attempt to defend an indefensible algorithm is the problem, not what.
Again, I'm going to go back to the research. And this is what Google says in the brief, is that there's a lot of accusations being presumed here and made that aren't backed up by the facts. And so on that basis, on the basis of, get ready, Ant, I'm telling you, get ready. On the basis of such moral panic, we can lose rights at a greater level. See, I think Ant didn't have a cold shower this morning. He was a little slow on the uptake.
That
there.
wasn't me. That's this daggum computer that I need to
you're
replace
blaming
at some point.
The Tesla too, huh?
Blaming the Tesla.
I'm sorry.
Tech Break is brought to you by ACI Learning. Save time and money while implementing the exact training your company needs, be it private training for one department or an enterprise-wide solution. ACI Learning helps you create the perfect training solution for your business. Visit acilearning.com and learn how ACI can power up your IT team.